Happy Friday, all! Want you all to welcome JB from JB's Toy Trunk.
What's
Tonight,
up,
we are going
everybody?
to be exploring the trunk to see what's
Oh,
there.
oh dear.
Yeah, well, you know, we had to. I mean, it's trunk. It's there. It's kind of like booty. You gotta, you
Yeah,
gotta explore it, right? I mean, that's
you.
the point. Get
Yeah,
lots
it
of
is.
things.
It is the point, and just that what you just said. There's a story behind it. So just let me know when you're ready for it.
Oh no, by all means, let's jump right into the whole thing about the toy trunk because
Well, thanks for having me, Aaron, and everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's a Friday night, and you're with us. So that's a good thing. I'm gonna say it's a good thing. I know we got a lot to talk about, and thank you guys for joining. Um, Well, the trunk, couple years ago, I met Jersey Geek, Mr. Fantastic, and I already knew Man Cave. We all met up in Charlotte, and I had some stuff for Man Cave. I found some stuff, and he's like, JB, can you look out? I was like, sure. And of course, Jersey Geek, the madman that he is, the animal that he is, he goes, "Yo, what's in the trunk? What else is in the trunk?" And I always credit him and those guys for basically giving me the name, JB's Toy Trunk, because it looked like a shady deal going on. We we were at we left
you
back in
got any
time
of
to
them toys. You got any
yeah,
of them toys?
pretty much. We were in the parking lot closest to Back in Time Collectibles right there in Gastonia, North Carolina. And then they're like, hey, hey, what else you got in there? And I actually had some stuff, and because I had a feeling that they might want some of it. And
Yeah.
yeah, it turned into a good deal. It was all legit, but there was people in a small town in North Carolina. People are like, what the heck is going on? Um,
They're all
so
filming it as they drive by. What is
I
going on over there?
yeah, we took a couple selfies and pictures. So yeah, and then when it was a couple months after that when I decided, or they encouraged me to start the channel, and of course that's when I went back to JB's Toy Trunk. So yeah, that's the creation of the channel and everything like that. I
Interesting.
owe a lot to those guys. Yeah.
Well, and I know later on we'll talk a little bit more about that relationship because it's an interesting thing because it's one of those things about this whole journey as toy collectors is the community that we build around ourselves. So,
Yeah.
but first we're going to figure out where JB is on the Myers-Briggs Geek Nerd Dork version. So we're going to go over this in case people haven't joined us before and know what I say when I say this. So now, when we have a high IQ and we're socially awkward, we're going to be considered a dork. If we have a high IQ and we have an obsession, we're going to be considered a geek. If we have an obsession and we're socially awkward, we're likely in a stalker category. And if we have a high IQ, the socially awkward, and obsession, we're probably going to be in the nerd category. Now, to move from geek to nerd, you somehow have to become socially awkward. I'm not sure how that would work, but I'm sure somebody could accomplish it, given enough time to think about it. Now, to move from stalker to nerd, you have to find something that improves your IQ. So I guess you could read books. I don't know. Whatever works. At least that one seems more doable. I don't know how you go from not being socially awkward to being socially awkward unless it's by choice, and then it just looks weird.
Yeah.
So, where does JB fit in the trunk?
Um, that's a great question, and I loved when I told you I watched you and Mega J Retro on that one, and we all know Geek Proud. He is Geek
Yeah.
Proud. That's his sign off and everything like that. I
He did
I
start
d-
claiming stalker during part of that. So,
yeah, he did. I don't think I'm a stalker, even though I know how to stalk, and I could be if I wanted to. So, but I'm not a stalker. Socially awkward. I would say that I've avoided being socially awkward by being a military brat. Meaning, I get in where I fit in. I learn people real quick, and I've never been socially awkward, in my opinion. And so, and that's where it really comes into play, because it's like I'm not socially awkward, and it's like that's the whole thing is, the first step is denial.
Yeah.
It's like, are you sure you're not socially awkward? And I work with a lot of socially awkward people, and I know they are, and I know they know they are. And it's like, I'm not that guy. There's no way I'm that guy. So, with that being said, I've never been told I've been socially. I know I'm outgoing. I could talk for days, but that doesn't mean that you're not socially awkward. So I don't think I have a high IQ, but I think I could figure things out. And, the obsession, that's obvious, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's that. It's more obvious in your picture than mine because all of my collection is in another room somewhere else because this is the only
yeah.
place with the hard line. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a good choice because, if I start going in and out, it's because I'm on Wi-Fi, so let me know. But my ob I do get obsessive, and I think, Marcia and I, my wife, we do get obsessive about collecting and retail and shopping. It's just fun for us. And to answer your question, I always thought that I was not a nerd, but according to your scale and according to my best friend down in Florida, he's like, "You are the biggest nerd out there." And and
well,
and he's
you kind of have to take some opinion on that, right?
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
because he's one just like me, and it's like, we're both not socially awkward, we're both outgoing, we're both I could say we're smart when we want to be. We know how to be stalkers, but when you again, according to the scale, he and I are both nerds. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Well, I mean, hey, if it fits, it fits.
I
If
think it
it
does.
doesn't, it doesn't.
And,
I'm gonna
and
check in with the chat real quick, and we're gonna say
yeah,
hi to some folks that have come and joined us. Masterversal Toy Hunter, hey Elder, how are you doing, sir? Mr. Nolan, who is in so many chats, I think he's like four people at once. I don't know because it does seem like he's in everybody's chat at the same time.
yeah,
Rhea Black is here. How you doing, Rhea? Duffman's Dioramas, what's
Duff
up?
man,
Oh, I'm assuming this is your wife.
that is my wife.
That is your
Sh-
wife.
So she's no longer watching. Well, she probably has Big Bang on, but she's also,
She's
multitasking.
doom scrolling YouTube watching this,
Y-
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I understand. It happens to the best of us. All right, let's see. Yep, there's Carol. Hello, Carol. How are you? And I know I saw somebody else. Yep. Happy accident. What's up, man? How you doing,
happy.
Happy?
Yeah.
See, Adam sent me this question earlier today. He's like, just ask him this question. What's your nose all that junk inside the trunk? I was like, really? I was like,
That's
oh,
that's funny because I jumped on real quick last night on Nerd Affiliated. He has Hey Archer hosts Thursday nights, and long story, he invited me in real quick, and I was on the road, and it got, I said a few things that I normally wouldn't do on my channel, and of course everybody's like, "Uh oh, JB After Dark, JB After Dark," because remember, Aaron, I just like most military men and women, I have a crazy mind, and I know how to say some really really weird things. So JB After Dark, and the off camera what we were talking about, I could
yeah.
easily stop my day job and just go right into a different YouTube channel and really make a lot of money doing that stuff. But I won't. It's not really me, or is it? I don't know. Socially awkward.
Okay. Let's see. It went dark. No.
It went
No,
dark
there's
real
times when
quick.
this show goes dark. I will tell you that. We do get
Hey,
sometimes. So Clifton, how are you, sir? Thanks for joining. I think I am all caught up on who's here. All right. So I'm going to define something for you, and then we're going to talk about it. So one of the things that I do as an adult, I play with my toys. I do it in different ways. I do customs. I do dios. I just sit there and I, set up my toys, whatever. Every one of us that displays our toys plays with our toys, whether we admit it or not. If we're spending the time to put them in a display, we're spending the time to play. But for the purposes here, I want to define what a play state is. Now, the literal definition of a play state is when you're absorbed in an activity that provides you enjoyment and gives you a suspension of the sense of time. So you're more focused. It's in the moment. In psychology, we would call that flow. Sports, they would call that flow. Others would call it the optimal experience. Um, because you're in the present. You're not focused on the future. You're not focused on the past. You're in the present. So, given that definition, when was the last time that you played?
Probably last weekend, and I've been working really hard. The work, has just really been going strong. And when I get let's say a new action figure and I do some poses with it, and a lot of the stuff I sent you that's me playing
Mm,
into what I want to do, and it's just capture what I see and what I envision. So I didn't really take any photos last weekend, but man, I needed to just stay in the room, cleaned up a little bit, reposed, and started thinking of how I want to, redo my displays. And a lot of us do it every now and then. Some of it's on a schedule once a month. But I'm coming up on a redo of the room after I do my room tour, end of the year pickups and room tour. I've been thinking of how else am I going to do that, and to me, that's playing. That's
yeah.
having Big Bang, like a Big Bang on the TV or Friends on the TV, and just kind of laughing, grabbing a figure. If I'm gonna, if I'm gonna mix my Indiana Jones with my Star Wars or it's like that's to me that's playing, and that's getting away from the big reason why a lot of us do this still is because we got to get away from a lot of the weird stuff in the world. And if this is
Mhm.
socially awkward and weird playing with toys as a grandfather, okay, call me socially awkward, but I'm playing with my toys and I'm having fun with it.
And I think that's one of the things, one of the reasons that I'd wanted to get you on is because you do that in a way that is positive and it's focused on doing the positive aspects rather than the easily fallen into negative aspects. But one of those things is as a kid, when we played with our toys, you kind of talked about it as an adult. You don't mind mashing and mishing your
Oh yeah.
toys. They
Yeah.
all kind of, can mesh together. But what about as a kid? Was that ever a thing where
Yeah.
He-Man, these other
Oh
lines,
yeah.
they all played together?
Oh yeah. Star Wars flying around on a Lego spaceship, and then of course Motu, like, battling him down, and here comes a jet fire flying through the air, shooting him and stuff. It's whatever. And I still do that. I know a lot of collectors, especially our age, as we get a little bit more sophisticated, we have careers, we're buying
That's
high
the
end.
word that
Oh
I would
yeah.
rarely use with a toy collector, sophisticated. We have those.
Soph-
It's a funny thing because it
oh,
is.
oh,
There's this yeah, there's
oh
this
yeah.
tea sipping moment. Yeah, exactly. We're
Yeah.
holding up our pinky while we're playing with our toy that we just paid, $50 for or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So,
But
yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, I mean, what I was getting at is when it comes to, I have two hot toys. I'm looking at them right now, and I have, because of Mega J, a friend of ours, convinced me to get some Mondo. I got the He-Man Mondo and Beastman on the way, and Skeletor. Sophisticated. Thanks, Mega J. I'm sophisticated now. But
The fancy. You got the fancy
fancy.
toys.
But
Fancy toys.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm playing
Yeah.
with a $25 piece of plastic right here, and I'll play with him and all my G.I. Joe, all day. And and I have a collection that's mirrors what I did as a kid.
Yeah.
It's not it's neater than I was as a kid, but at the same time, it's not two or three figures per shelf and it's got a spotlight on it. No, I want I was a pack rat as a military brat. I grabbed my stuff and I took it everywhere I went, and I didn't let it go. And that's, I guess, a mental thing where you don't want to
Yeah.
let go of any of your toys, because it's that one common thing that I had everywhere I went. Oh yeah, I got a GI Joe, I got a Transformer, I got a Star Wars, I got Mask, I got a skateboard, I got shoes, and it just continues on into my age now, where it's like I have helmets, I have a hot toy, I have some expensive Marvel figures, and that's what I would be doing if I was, let's say, 7 or 8 years old as a kid. Same thing. Nothing's changed.
So let's say that you were playing as a kid. Do you kind of remember how you felt playing as a kid?
Yeah, I was. I'm gonna go ahead and say, if I'm playing with my friend Dan, who's in New Mexico, we share a similar birthday, and we kind of messaged each other just a couple weeks ago. I was the bossy friend.
Uh-oh.
He had his toys, I had my toys, but of course I always made sure I had the cooler toys. And he could probably,
Ah,
if he thinks back, 40 something years, he's probably like, yeah, that's probably, that was Jason. And there's a funny picture of us during Halloween. I had, I think he was Yoda, and I was Darth Vader. I No one else was Star Wars. Jason was Darth Vader. Daniel was Yoda, and everybody else, who cares? I was I was the I was the bossy kid. I was lucky that I had a lot of the toys, so a lot of the kids that came over to the house, of course, I shared with them, but I made sure I got my pick first. And
so are there any activities that you do now beside, outside of, let's say, we'll say outside of the toys, that brings you close to the feelings you had as a kid where you were
oh,
just lost in things?
mean lost in a good way, meaning just like
Yeah,
lost
lost in a good way,
um
positive way.
now, and I think that's that very last picture that I sent you just recently. Kenner Star Wars. Um, when I look back to Kenner Star Wars and watching Star Wars in the theater as a kid, and then of course, Empire and Jedi, Return of the Jedi. The Kenner Star Wars really just, it was my thing. It always was. Having a Millennium Falcon, AT-AT Walker, Slave One, and all that stuff. Just and nowadays, I have a small collection of it, and that's the stuff that brings me back. And my wife would probably agree that Kenner Star Wars, vintage Kenner Star Wars was my thing back then. It still is now, but I haven't I haven't went all in. I'm patient with it right now. I have those figures that I have, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm patiently waiting to get some more sophistication
Yeah,
to to actually not just have play Kenner Star Wars, but to actually have the first 12 setup. And
yeah. I
if it takes me a couple years to do, fine. I'm okay with that. But Kenner
I
Star
mean,
Wars
the
has always
the
been,
good thing
yeah.
about vintage collections is that there's a certain number and then it's done, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know where the end of that collection goes.
Yeah.
It's the modern stuff that starts to eat at you because you don't know really where that end's gonna be in most cases,
Right.
especially if they're still ongoing. It
Oh
creates
yeah.
that dynamic that's very interesting for some of us that do modern toys. Now, I sold all of my vintage Star Wars.
Oh wow.
And I had some good stuff. It wasn't the bad stuff. It was all good. Hey, there
I
you go. Happy subscribe to you.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
But yeah, I sold that in April of last year, and that
Wow.
really just kind of funded some of my collection.
Yeah.
Um, it
Uh,
just didn't hold that same appeal for me anymore.
really.
And there's a lot of weird dynamics because of my father's involvement with getting me some of those figures.
Oh,
You know,
sure.
we didn't have a good relationship before he died, so it was, a complex relationship, needless to say.
Well, Aaron, you brought that up, and that's probably the reason why my connections there is because I was fortunate that my dad, more than my mom, was the guy who he was a kid himself.
Yeah.
So he was living through me, and hey Jason, we're gonna go buy you the Millennium Falcon. It's like, oh cool, and I'm like 4 or 5 years old, whatever. So, and that's why the connection to the Kenner Star Wars is so meaningful to me, even though I got a small collection of it.
Yeah.
Um, but what, and I talk about it with the wife a lot, is she's like, Jason, when your dad sold all of your Kenner Star Wars at a garage sale, when you guys lived in Hawaii, how do you feel about that? I was like, why you got to bring up bad stuff? Why you got to bring up bad memories? Because,
I
so
bring up all the time. My ex-wife
yeah.
sold all of my vintage GI
Oh,
Joes, including my
yeah.
flag, for $75
Jeez.
at
If
a garage sale in '96. So yeah, no, that one still hurts.
so, so go into that, whether something has good memories or bad memories, that could easily, and I'm sure you would agree, just steer the collection or morph the collection into what it is today. And I will go back to the vintage Kenner, and it's just when I'm ready. So like the retro figures that are coming out, I love those retro figures because it
Yeah,
reminds me of
yeah.
when I was a kid. But yeah,
And Ollie's has them at $3.99.
nah,
So
$3.99. I got them at full price.
yeah, realistically, those are actually fairly reasonably priced. I mean, they're $10,
Yeah,
so not
yeah,
terribly priced.
not
So I mean, it's not. I mean, it could be worse. Now, I'm sure
su-
there's some that are a little bit over that, but most of them are in
su-
that 10, 12 range.
Super 7 reaction figures. Those kill me because I love them so much. And my wife and I just went in when we started collecting. We went in on a lot of them, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. Those are like $19 figures now. I'm like,
Yeah,
there's no
they're
way. There's no
yeah,
way.
no. You just wait till clearance and then
Yep.
pick up what you can. But so your childhood, you talked about Star Wars as one of your lines. Were there any
Mm.
other lines for you as a child? Big lines that you played with, collected, whatever, however you want to list it as.
Star Wars, GI Joe, tr- some Transformers, and Motu, Masters of the Universe. And then if you were to add toward the tail end, or as I started to get older, when Mask came out, me and Dan, my friend Daniel, we collected some Mask. I had, was it Switchblade, and he had Rhino. So we played a little bit of Mask, but it was always Star Wars, GI Joe, Motu, and a little bit of Transformers. And I again, I have a memory of an elephant, even though I test poorly in
Yeah,
in high school. I can remember the good things, and playing with those toys was just amazing to me. I can remember it like it was yesterday. You could almost like smell the plastic.
yeah,
You could feel the paint on some of it. Like the O-ring. You could always feel that tug when it was about
yeah,
to snap. If you kept spinning it.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the four. Absolutely.
So aside from the vintage collection Star Wars that you're going back and picking up, are there any other of kid those lines that you had as a child that you really have that itch to go back and look at getting?
When I got back into collecting a couple years ago, I wanted to do Studio Series 86 with the Transformers. Again, not going all in on a $500 Jetfire, like
Yeah.
an OG one. But I was looking at some Studio 86, so I started collecting that, and I had to push pause on it just because I am a big Transformers fan, but I gotta limit it. So
I
that's
stuck
one
with
that I did go
that
in on.
on
But
Transformers because realistically, one, it's a space eater, and then two, I have
yeah,
to I don't I get all of the major characters at some point.
yeah,
We just recently got all the Dinobots. So at some point those core class ones will get the
yeah,
characters that we all want. But yeah, no, Transformers is definitely one of those deep holes that I don't want to go into.
yeah. And Motu Masters of the Universe, when they came out with the Origins line, I was all in on that. I again, not even going to the deep cuts that we're getting now, like Sunman. I heard of Sunman, but I wasn't into Masters of the Universe when Sunman came out.
Yeah.
So Masters of the Universe Origins is I went all in on. I still have to put up my Snake Mountain somewhere, but somewhere,
Well, you
somewhere.
know what? That's the eternal problem for all of us that collect, space.
Yeah, yeah.
So, in your collection, is there any room for independent properties, or is it just established franchises?
And again, going back to some of your previous shows, I started to think about that. I do have a few Four Horsemen, figure obscura characters, and I love Four Horsemen. Those guys are amazing, and at a con I met them, and those guys they're just awesome dudes. I I could easily jump into a rabbit hole like a lot of us do and would, but I'm not so much all in medieval type stuff. I'm
Yeah.
more into like their cosmics. I don't have any cosmics yet because I want to see it in hand, even though I know it's going to be amazing. And
Uh, yeah. It
s-
yeah. Uh
there you go.
well, I was gonna wait and show this on the
Oh,
what
there you
did you get
go.
this week?
Look at that, dude.
Yeah. I'll be cracking this boy open tomorrow. But yeah.
That looks
This is
good.
the only one I got so far. The other ones are coming.
Yeah,
I've I've got another one coming directly from the Horseman probably next week. And then on the 6th, rest of my order will be shipping.
yeah.
So
I, and with cosmics, it kind of fits into again my little mashup of a dio, the Bad
yeah,
Gangsters Cantina, where I just got like anything and everything in there, and having a Cosmic Legion, whether it's a whatever figure it is, or even some of the bigger, deluxe size figures, they look so great. So they fit in any for me in any situation. And I was talking with the guys about that there, when when I met them over the summer. That's what it's about. It's like being creative and staying creative, and no limits to what you can think of or dream of when it comes to a world building. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, those guys are really awesome.
Yeah, there's something different about the community that they built, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's a great community overall. I don't
Oh yeah,
think I have not had a bad interaction with pretty much anybody in those communities.
yeah, yeah.
So, good thing. Um, well, speaking of communities, does the community of collectors or interest by others have any sway over your interest in a given figure or a given line?
Yeah. I was just reading some of the comments there, and shout out to Mr. Wonderful, and my wife would agree with this because as soon as you started that sentence, I started to think exactly where you were going. Um, oh, JB is a wrestling collector. Yes. Um, my wife hates it when I say I have to go get this wrestler. She's like, "You're not into wrestling. You don't like wrestling. Why do you even collect them?" I I do. And
Yeah,
on top of me and my friend Dan collecting Star Wars, GI Joe, Transformers, and Masters of the Universe, we went to watch WWF,
yeah,
World
the
Wrestling
kids, yeah,
Federation.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Tito Santana, Hillbilly Jim, and Junkyard Dog. I could go on forever. So
yeah,
when I'm getting back into collecting and I'm looking at an Elite Legends, Junkyard Dog, and I'm like, I like this. Oh, and they say it's a chase. Oh, let me grab this.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden you pick one, you pick another. So that's not one line. And I blame Man Cave Collectible Reviews. I blame Mr. Fantastic, and I blame Jersey Geek, because when I started, meeting them and talking, becoming friends
Yeah.
with them, they were collecting wrestling too. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got to get the demolition set. Oh, that's $300 a figure. I'll wait. Yeah.
Yeah, when you
Oh,
start getting to that, you gotta think twice about it, and, it's like
yeah. So that's the
all about the collecting rules at that point.
yeah, that's the vice right there. That's the one where if I see a good looking wrestling figure, I'll grab just one though. It's like I got one Hogan, one Andre, things like that. I don't go nuts on it. But yeah, wrestling.
Well, I mean, that's the trick too, is not going completely nuts on that. All right, we're gonna talk about your actual collection, and hang on, I'm gonna pull the file up. There we go. No, I do not want you on this screen. I want you on that screen. Thank you very little.
Let's
Please.
show the world.
Let's show it. All right, here we go.
Oh, my wife's telling me to stop lying. I don't know what she's talking about.
She's telling you to stop what?
She said it's right there in the comments, stop lying. What am I lying about?
Stop lying. Uh-oh. All right.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna start where the Beauty and the Beast. Now, I'm assuming this is a joint project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I sent this to you because again, this is me playing. Like
Yeah.
I got my light box. Hey, let's take a photo. And that's my wife's, favorite, I guess you could say,
Movie.
movie, franchise line, whatever. And they came out about a year and a half ago, and we were still kind of really into Funko Pops, which I don't have anything against Funko Pops, obviously, but I know now that I can't collect Funko Pops just because that's a true rabbit hole right there.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that's her collection and me playing with them and just having fun with it. Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful has a question about you gotta pick a side, Brett or Sean. Brett,
Well, Brett, oh,
yeah,
the Hitman or Sean?
yep, Brett the Hitman
I
Hart or Shawn Michaels. You gotta apparently you have to pick a side. I don't know what this.
well,
Just
I
a
don't
weird
understand.
thing.
I don't understand the question because I don't know who Sean is.
Shawn Michaels.
I never heard of him.
Nope, you don't know who he is. Okay,
No, never heard. Brett the Hitman Hart. Yeah, I know who that
you're
is.
good. You're good. You're good. You're fine. All right, and here's your Rocky and Apollo Creed. I thought this was cool. I like this little setup.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that's
cool. Something different.
thank you. Appreciate it. Nostalgic. Yeah, Apollo.
Now, here's your
Apollo's really
Mandalorian and your Star Wars. So, and again, you talked about Star Wars being an important part, so I could see why you'd have these.
y-
I took my son last night where he's, at that age where he's learning to drive. So, my panic button is on high. So we went out to do some driving last night, and we stopped at Ross, and
Oh yeah.
we were looking through stuff, and we found, didn't find much of anything that I would want. I did manage to get this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I haven't decided yet. More than likely, it's going to be, something in a display somewhere that I'll just put somewhere. But we ended up going over to the pops that were like at the front counter, and he was like, I don't know if I want any of these. And I was like, okay, well, first one I pull up is uh, Goku Black Rose,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, okay, I want that one. And I was like, okay, so we ended up getting that. So they're cute and they're interesting, but not for everybody.
Eh, yeah, and with it, our boys, both my oldest and youngest, they do dabble a little bit into the pop. So with pops, it's kind of it's a family thing, and with Mandalorian and Grogu, that was the drop of energy to really restart the collecting. The
Yeah.
boys and I were collecting, a couple movie things here and there, and then of course some Hot Wheels every now and then. But then when Mando, Star Wars, really getting involved in it,
Hmm.
it's just like, and then boom. So that's why I sent that to you, because that was right at we already started back up, but then we we rode that wave of Mandalorian and Grogu, and whatever our opinions are of it now, as far as season 3 and then all the new stuff coming out. For us, most of us
The
can't
thing is
deny.
that those of us that are our age, I think we appreciate it a little more because we didn't get it for so long.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think it's just some people that just aren't happy. You can't make everybody happy, no matter what you do.
No.
And Lawrence, I don't have issues, but $6.99, I'm probably gonna buy it. If I could find something to do with it, I will buy it at $6.99.
Might as well give it a shot. Give it a
You know,
shot.
he's just giving me crap because he gave me crap about getting all the Crimson Guards and the Dusties, and I got
Oh,
4 Crimson Guards, 2 Dusties, and a Zorana, which will be basically all just for parts anyway. But except for the
yeah.
Crimson Guards, I'm gonna make them into Iron Grenadiers, Crimson Guards, so they'll be all in black. So,
Right.
so here's your Avengers. This is the 20th anniversary figures, right?
Yep, that's the 20th anniversary, and the Hulk is the Marvel Select.
Oh,
So
I was gonna say that looks like the Immortal Hulk one. I was gonna say
yeah, yep.
that one. That's the Hulk in my collection.
It,
That's a fantastic sculpt. I mean,
yeah, it's fun. That I played with that one for a while.
Thank you, Brick. I appreciate that. I do need raw
Yeah,
materials every once in a while. I do like your Batman 66. This is cool.
it started off with the Batman Robin, the Bat Cave, and the Batmobile, and then they just kept pushing them out, and I'm like, I'm just putting them all together. No, normally I would just have one of each, but I mean, it's
Did
each.
you get the what is it? The Bat? I don't know what the other one is. It's not the Bat Cave. It's like the office. The
The library.
Yeah, the library. Thank you.
Oh
My
yeah,
brain was
that one I've actually used in a couple different scenes and photos, and not just
I mean,
Batman
just for the fact that
66.
you're getting dios for 6-inch figures is just interesting. They're
Yeah,
actually decent. They're not like
yeah,
it's not all cardboard and fall apart kind of thing.
and that's again that going back to my collection. That when I was a kid, it was always about those play sets if I could afford it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Now this
this
is in black and white on your Justice League, I'm assuming, and it
yeah,
looks like a tumbler to the right. Or is that
n-
Batman versus Superman's
no,
Batmobile?
actually in the back it's just it's an actual dio, a scene in the back, and it just kind of
Hmm.
lit up weird like that. Yeah. This was my first complete, I guess you could say, DC McFarlane type of setup that I purchased and got. And I thought, again, no matter what we think of the movies, when I'm just looking at the action figures and how it's set, I was like, I like it like that.
Yeah.
Taking the movie and how much it pretty much sucked out of the way, just
Yeah.
the way it looked together.
And here's your 3 Jokers.
Yeah, I love these. When they now here's the thing is the one with the fish, the middle Joker. I forgot
Yeah.
what is it. He's at Ross for $6.99, I think.
Yeah. And so's the other one too. I think yeah. I think both of those. Now the other one, no. He was a
Right.
pain in the butt to get.
Yeah.
I had to
And
actually hunt for that one.
and the dios here, a lot of the dios early when I started was from Would You Kindly Studios.
Oh, okay. Would you kindly? Yeah, I know who they are.
Yeah, awesome dudes, and
Yeah.
I would definitely fair on pricing and they ship really well. So I got a
Yeah, and their
few
stuff
dials
looks
from
great.
those. Oh
I,
yeah.
I love their weathering.
Oh yeah.
So here's another one with his camera this time. So
Yeah. This
now
is
is
go ahead.
this a Jada
Yep.
mini or
Yep.
is yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering when I saw it, I was like, that looks like a Jada toy.
Yeah. And it's my boys, they're gearheads. They
Yeah.
they love cars, and we've been collecting. My son, my oldest, still collects die cast, this scale, and when we get together, we buy a few together and talk about it and display it. So yeah, it's the room is my room, but it's not my room, it's our room. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
manage it, I'm I manage it. I bring all the stuff in, but it's inspired a lot by my two boys, my granddaughter now, and my wife. Yeah.
Now we're gonna go into the little bit of horror side of your collection. I kind of tried to put all these together, but I don't know if I got them all together. But I know they're pretty close to each other. Um, American Werewolf in London.
Oh
Love
yeah.
the figure. Love the way that figure looks.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't have a place for it in my collection, but I do love the way the figure looks. This one I was like, okay. I was trying to figure out what this one was when I saw it originally. I was like, okay, they're in the Batmobile. Is he stealing the Batmobile? Is he? I was wondering what the story was here.
It is whatever story you want to put, because both of those dudes on camera or in any setting are funny to me. You know, just Jay Jonah alone, you could put him in any scene, and he, in my opinion, steals it because
Yeah,
of of how it is. And then of course you got Spidey, hanging up top.
I
Just
was just wondering what the Batmobile
no,
was the confusing part for me. I was like, are we telling a story here? Is
no,
someone
no
stealing
story,
something?
no story. Just like as a kid, just put it together, see what happens.
All right, so here's the other part of this, and this is the little SS type soldiers that they had for it.
Yeah,
That were part of that line. They're fantastic too.
yeah,
And that poor guy, he gets into all sorts of trouble.
he
He's like
does.
in several photos. I mean, he does. He's a troublemaker. The Hood just is really,
The
really a troublemaker. You
and
know,
I
and
laugh.
the funny thing is that Ted, who from Hello Dope Toys, they use him in their stuff too. So
Yeah,
he gets around. Apparently, he goes to Hello Dope Toys too.
yeah.
See, and now he's getting eaten. Poor guy. Now, I thought this was cool. I like this little setup with the villains taking over the Batmobile. It's cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I have this bike with my Ghost Rider,
Oh, okay, cool.
the most
Yeah,
recent one that they released, the reissue or the 90s homage figure that they just did. I think this bike works great for that. It works great for this.
yeah.
It always was a little weird to me that it was in Batman, but I've read the comic that it's in, so it's kind of like, and this doesn't make no sense, but okay,
Kind of makes
I'm gonna
sense.
go with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, this was early, again, early into the collecting. I didn't have a light box. This was just actually on top of my DTOF, just trying to take a couple pictures. And, posing, the posing this together, I was like, you know what, I think this goes.
Yeah,
No matter what story or comic they come from different areas. I just thought, you know what, let's put it together.
if it
And that
works, it works, and you go
yeah,
with it, right?
yeah.
The only thing that's missing from this is Gwenpool shark. What is that shark's name?
Oh,
Steve, Larry, something. I can't remember the shark's name right now, but the one that crawls on land shark.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That would be the other perfect part of this would be that land shark on the ground just walking past.
Mhm. Yeah, that was the king shark that was super hard to find, and I lucked out and found him. That's the gold label one.
Yeah,
And again, going back to the Funko Pop back when my boys were like, "Hey, let's get that." And I was like, "Well, let me put these guys together, see what happens." And that's what happens.
yeah.
Have fun
Well, and it
playing.
works. It works great.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because he's like looks like
Yeah.
he's yelling at the kid for eating the
Yep.
person.
Yep.
So, and here's your Dinobots
Yeah.
with
I
Wheelie.
yeah.
I think
Miss
all of us that had those, that watched Transformers in the 80s, I think at least everybody that Grimlock's probably the one character. I mean,
There he
he's sitting
is.
right here in front of me. Grimlock's the character that he's
Yeah.
my desk toy. All right, and here's
This
your death metal. I
this
love
was
this. I love the Superman sculpt overall. I mean, there's a lot of people that do not like that, and
yeah.
I love that look. I think it's great. It's something new and different for him. I dig it.
This what yeah. I dig it too, and I still do. This was my very first build a figure, in the collecting world that we all do. I was like, because again, and most people know, and I always, try to remind people, I'm not a comic guy at all.
Yeah,
Um, I'm movies, cartoons, TV, and when it comes to a lot of the comic lines and storylines, I appreciate it. I love it. That's just I don't know it all. I never ever pretend to be that guy. But when I see a good looking figure and or potential for, a dio, a setup, playability,
yeah.
and these five right here are like, let's do this. So and then I searched, hunted for them, found them, and yeah, it was fun. It was really fun to grab those very first ones.
Boop. Yeah, go back. Hello. There it went. Nope. That's what happens. Now, I'm assuming these Legos, these are still put together, right? You
Oh
just
yeah.
stuck them in. Yeah, okay. You didn't take them back apart because
Oh.
my son, bless him, we have literally like those storage bins that are like 4 deep and they're like really wide. We have like two of those full of Legos. Based, I would put them together with him. With him. He just stood around and like, here's a brick.
Yeah.
So
You-
that's kind of how our thing went. But every Christmas, birthday, we would get a couple Legos, get at least one big one every once in a while,
Yeah.
and within 10 minutes of it being together, you know, oh, it messed
Yeah.
up, plop.
Yep.
I
I,
don't want to put it back together.
I I love Lego. Lego is, when I got back into collecting, it was, do I start this new thing called Black Series? It was new to me, so do I do
Hmm.
Black Series? Do I stay with Funko Pop because the boys like it? Do I stay Hot Wheels? Do I stay Lego? I still have some Lego sets from a couple years ago I still have not built, and it's because of room. And you're right. I don't obviously we don't want to build it and then take it all apart, especially
Yeah,
some of the bigger ships that we have. I'm just waiting for the room to start building more. I do have a couple on stands, and I think, yeah, actually, yeah, these are on stands.
yeah,
But even when they're on stands, they take up quite a bit of room. And
yeah, and yeah. The
but
Millennium
yeah.
Falcon would be a pain to redo.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was an easy build, but you're right. If shoot, if that thing were to drop, I don't know. I don't know
Well,
what I would do.
when the Shield helicarrier or the what was it? No, it wasn't the helicarrier. What the it was? Oh, the Quinjet. I
Oh,
bought I bought him the Quinjet,
no
and
way.
I mean it. Yeah, when it fell, it just went everywhere, and I was like, ah.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't know, like 3 days building on it because I really didn't, I didn't want to sit
Yeah.
down. It started to hurt after a while. That's
Yeah.
one of those ones where you go back and you have trauma just looking at it, going like,
Yeah.
no more. My fingers hurt. Now, this is kind of an interesting. I wasn't expecting a whole lot of inbox, but there's quite
Yeah.
a bit of inbox here.
That was the first big photo of the display when I got the room set up with the adjustable shelves. And when I started collecting again, I was like, "You know what? I and I blame him, and I still do, and he still does it. Kyle Peterson, you
Uh,
know, he's like, the twofer, you got to do one inbox and one. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
yeah, it
And I
sounds
was like,
great in theory.
what the hell, man? I'm just like, I'm spending all this money, but so in this picture, this Black Series, for example, the Black Series boxes with the mural. I love the mural and the way they put together.
Yeah.
So I do the mural and I'll put the figures in front of it. Oh, that's a pretty display. But man, just the Mandalorian series alone is like up to like almost 40 now.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to tell you. So I quickly let the plastic breathe. I busted them all out. I started looking at. I'm not a reseller, and I don't intend to. And even if I were to resell, um, a Mandalorian figure, how much really am I going to make on it? So it's like
Yeah.
I started busting all of them out.
I think
Most of them.
a lot of collectors that are doing this where they're keeping them in box and thinking that they're going to be worth a lot of money later don't realize that the likelihood of that happening, because we're kind of that generation that's going to be the last ones that really do hardcore toy collecting, because kids, they don't, my kids
Yeah,
anyway. My daughter played with toys, but my oldest boy, not really. The Legos were pretty much it as far
yeah,
as toys goes. Now we'll get an occasional, collectible here and there, but for him, it's just not his thing. It's video games, it's hanging out with his friends online, doing stupid stuff,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think once our generation kind of stops collecting, I think we're going to see this weird shift.
Well, yeah, yeah, definitely weird shift.
So here's
Um,
your Marvel Legends, or at least some of them anyway. I do dig the Spider-Man in the center. Um, it's cool.
yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
it's the
It's
NECA.
proud.
It's the NECA building, right?
Yeah,
The street scene from NECA. Yeah,
NECA street scene, and I love that street scene. I actually I want to build my own dios like it, and yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but I just want to give it a try. But I love that street scene. It's amazing. And then again, this right here didn't start off as, I mean, this is a party. Like, I mean, if you've been to a club in any big
yeah.
city, like
Everybody
when I was,
starts getting crowded. Yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
when and that's the thing is like when I was stationed in Korea and, I'm out there in the club partying, this is what it felt like. Just a bunch of animals together, just having fun. And now it's too crowded though. I need to
Well,
thin this
and
out.
the worst part about that is that if something shifts the wrong way,
Oh, I
yeah, it's all coming down.
I was it yesterday. I came in and top shelf, off the top rope. I think I had some of my figures come down and it just took everything with it.
Yeah, I went out and I found some basically it's like plastic sheets, they're pet sheets.
Mhm.
Um they're like 1/16th. They're not super thick, so I can cut them with a box knife.
Oh yeah.
So I got them and I put them in front of the shelves. So now all of my figures can't fall out forward or sideways. They
Yeah.
can just fall inward, which is
Well,
better, preferably.
yeah.
Because my dog, bless him, he's just a puppy still.
Oh.
He will eat anything that hits the ground. So and now I can actually, one of my dioramas I couldn't actually see because I had to keep it covered with a box so he wouldn't eat anything in it. But now it's got this nice, shiny, big plastic shield in front of it. And he can't fit his head in between it. So we're good. It's protected.
That's good. Yeah.
Now you sent me quite a few Star Wars pictures. Now this is the Black Series ones, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's just Black Series setup, but the thing right there in the middle, the Emperor's chair, that was set up by our buddy Jace, um, up in Cherryville, North Carolina. He built a couple of those with his 3D printing, and
Yeah.
it was fun, and that's kind of just why I sent it. But this is just a basic, figure setup. I had ideas of setting up the Emperor and troopers all around it, but I was like, for right now, I got way too much stuff, so just let me just set it up. The I had ideas with the bounty hunters and Jabba, and I'm still thinking about making a dio with that, the 6-inch scale. But again, 6-inch scale and the
Yeah,
Jabba, it takes a lot of real estate.
it does. I mean, I've got a Dio in my garage that I'm working on, but I can't really go any further with it until I get my his tank
Oh
because it's
yeah,
for my his tank.
Yeah.
So as soon as his tank comes in and I can get measurements and then I can decide what I need to do with the rest of it. But I've got um but I just ordered this stuff to start another one that I'm gonna do that's gonna be a snow scene.
Oh
So
wow.
I've done a forest. This one will my one will be like a pseudo desert slash, canyon scene, and then the next
Sure.
one after that will be snow, and then the one after that will be water, and
Yeah.
they're all for my Joes right now, and then eventually
Yeah.
I'll do one for my animal warriors of the kingdom.
Oh
So
yeah. And that right there, I've been watching a lot of you guys, talking about that, and that's that right there. I can't. I love it. I just can't get into that right now. I just
it's a slippery slope, and that's the funny thing is that there's a lot of these toy lines that we could get into with
yeah.
relative ease because they're available, but at some point you have to go, yeah, that may be not
Yeah.
where I want to go.
Yep.
So, and here this looks more like 3 3/4, but is this
That's TVC. Yeah, that's vintage
okay?
collection. Yeah.
Okay, I was
And
thinking this looked like it.
and it goes back to, I mean, the wife talking about, okay, she's like, Jason, we're just gonna do Black Series and TVC and vintage Kenner. And I'm like, and
Yeah,
and so I slowed down for the most part to a stop on the TVC. And what I love about the TVC, going back to how we were talking about dios, you could do, you know, twice and three times as much with this scale.
yeah.
So
I mean, and that's the trick. I think with 3 3/4 inch or 1/18 scale, you get a lot, get a more world building ability,
yeah.
but um, detail wise, some of it's lost.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's kind of that trade off. And then you go up from that and do 1/6, and that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Whole different animal.
Absolutely.
Now this is vintage, right?
Most of it.
Most of it. The
um
Java vintage.
yes, Jabba's vintage.
Now the
And
Max Revo is probably Power of the Force. Is what it looks like.
yeah,
But it could, because I know that this one is Power of the Force.
yeah. And then
I believe. Yeah.
the retro Leia, and then retro Boba Fett, retro collection Lando, and retro collection Luke Skywalker, and
And the
everything else.
Dio.
Yeah,
Is the Dio?
the Dio's actual the vintage collection TVC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if that was that or not.
yeah. And
That's why I was asking.
that was my whole thing too. It's like, it's the same scale. It's like, can I make this work? And for me it worked. It just
Well,
kind of,
yeah, no, it's the same scale, so it'll work
yeah,
fine.
yeah. But I don't,
Yeah, no,
like
that's
there's,
always nice when it comes
yeah.
together.
Th-
Now
This is
this is
the,
your Masterverse area.
yeah. This is my this is another sore spot. Sore meaning
Uh-oh.
I want, yeah, sore meaning I really want to collect the whole line, but I had to pump the brakes on some of it, you know. Um, I got the Whiplash recent. That's the most recent one, was the Whiplash on clearance, and I'm gonna wait for Clawful and Rayman on clearance. And it's not like I don't love it, and it's just room and space. I kind of push it
Yeah.
up to the side for a little bit. And
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
want to.
you gotta pick the figures that make sense, and
Yeah,
if at the time the price doesn't make sense and you're not, you know,
yeah,
it's not gonna kill you if you don't get it,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
the trick. If it's not something that you just have to have.
It took me a while to really grasp that I will be okay.
Yeah.
I will. It's like, look in the mirror like Jack Handy from SNL. Everything's gonna be okay. I don't have to collect Masterverse. I'll be all right.
Now I like this. Now this I'm assuming is a custom. That
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
I do like your shelf. Just the shelf here with this display and the Dio is cool.
I was again just trying the hot knife, just trying some foam board. I was like, let me make a little canyon type of display for the Mando. And of course, when you make this huge dio, and it's like this big and like
Yeah,
that, and 12 inches deep this way, and you got the different canyons to show, the different stands. And it's like I got like 10 figures on there. It's already crowded.
yeah, yeah.
it
Because
get
it
it
was
get
crowded.
it
Yeah,
gets crowded so quick. And I was like, what, screw it. Just this is my Mandalorian, area. And I sent it to you because, going to how I started with Mandalorian, I love the show. It got me into collect. My very first Black Series figure was Mando. And I was looking at the box and looking at the figure and I'm like, man, this is awesome. I see all these toy hunters grabbing these Black Series and it looks awesome. And it's like, you know what? Let me just try this out. And the rest is history. Hey, thanks, Brick. Yeah, I saw Ken and Brick's in here and Kayla, all you
yeah. We
guys.
got we got a
Thank
few
yeah,
more people running in. We got Random Diorama, Toy Connections, Mr. Wonderful. Travis is here.
appreciate you guys.
Ryan Sweeney's joined us. I'm sure he's off and on. And then we had Lawrence earlier. Or from Punk with Toys. So we've had a lot of people come in, and
Oh yeah.
occasionally I just throw them up when they come in when I see their name. So that way we're not breaking up the conversation more than I already do because I have this tendency to be abrupt and sometimes interrupt thoughts for people.
Hey, it's
But
your
this is
show.
this is an interesting collection. This is kind of what you're talking about, where the hodgepodge, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
because you got Spider Punk sitting with Kazim, sitting with Namor, sitting with Mancakes.
Man cakes. Yeah, I found man cakes at Ollie's and was like, he would be a perfect bartender
Yeah,
next to Jeff Goldblum. And so they're running the bar. Stacy is that Keebler from WWE. She's the actual owner of Bad Gangsters. So yeah,
yeah.
it's
What is this one in? Is this a wrestler in front?
yeah, that's
Because
the Lucha. God, I forgot his name already. I don't
okay,
even.
because I was like, I don't know what that figure is, but it's interesting. It
Aaron,
fits into the deal. It
you
does.
need
It
a
fits in.
you need a bouncer for your bar, man. And obviously, it's way too crowded. I'm definitely busting fire code, so I gotta build another dio. That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Uh, no, no, Thanos. I am not doing 5 hours. That was last Saturday night. It will not happen again. I am an old
Power
man. I hurt.
powerhouse. Like Jay will hit me up and he's like JB, you want to come on? I was like, dude, I got to get up in 2 hours. I can't. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys,
The
you guys, you guys go like Oz, man. He's another one. You guys power through. I was like, wow.
it it he, honestly, you don't really feel it while you're on it doing it.
Very true. Very
And
true.
that's the trick. But I mean, honestly, I felt it the next day and I was like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm way too old to be doing that. I'm not 20 no more. And now I did like this display for your Star Wars, which is kind of Cal Kestis and Wade Mace Windu and kind of Clone Wars look.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was kind of
I
cool.
I'm still waiting on the actual Black Series Captain Rex. That's the Bad Batch one that I have up there, but I do not want to pay secondary market for a Captain Rex. I'm confident they're going to re-release
Oh
them.
no, they'll reissue. Just be patient.
I've been
They
working it,
got to
man.
reuse those bodies somehow. They'll do it. They'll do it. Make no mistake. Just be patient. That's the one guarantee about Hasbro and Mattel is they're going to reissue something at some point. It may be a slight variation from that one,
Right.
but it'll still be the same thing.
And
Why? Because they like money.
that's right. And that's
As
that's what
simple as it is.
I've been learning through these past couple of years. You're right. Absolutely right.
And this is some more hodgepodge. You got some more Fortnite, and you got some. This is the other part of that diorama. It's great because I see how much Fortnite. Obviously, you've been hitting ollies for the Fortnite figures. I'm just saying because there's one, two, three, and
Yeah,
you got
there's
a
I
little
got
arcade in the back, and
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep. I have little Kermit, the little baby Kermit playing a video game back there, the Fortnite game.
Now, is that a Storm Collectibles E Honda?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And you know, if Jada brings out more, which I think they are,
No,
I
well,
can't wait.
yeah.
I just can't wait. I have I'm waiting on my Chun-Li, but I have the Ryu and I forgot the other guy's name. What is it?
Fei Long.
Fei Long.
Yeah.
Yep. So I
I
got
have
both
I
of
have
those.
Ryu Fei Long. Hello. Oh, my computer's doing that. I have Ryu Fei Long, the evil Ryu, and then I'm waiting for my Chun-Li just like you are, because apparently the folks at Hella Dope Toys haven't gotten her yet, even though it was supposed to be in October.
Yeah.
30
Well,
eye. Trying to get
I
my stink
know
eye to Ted right now.
I know I seen her at a Target, and I don't know
Yeah, I've
why I
seen
didn't.
her. I know
I
that
don't
they've
know.
seen her in Target. I haven't. My
I
personal.
just don't know why I didn't grab it.
Yeah. Now, this is an interesting couple of shelves. You got your wrestlers on, the lower shelf. It's the upper shelf.
Oh yeah.
It's really, really intriguing. You
Yeah.
have the Doom head from Galactus mixed in with Mario characters and Bucky O'Hare and the Mirrorverse characters and Turtles, and it's
Don't forget Charizard's in
interesting.
there. Don't forget Charizard.
It's just interesting. I mean, you did say that there was like this whole, you know, hodgepodge as a kid, so I get it.
It's
Although,
exact. Yeah.
is that one falling or fallen, or is that one
Yeah.
just like out?
That's the Chun-Li and Ryu from the TMNT 2 pack that came out. Was
Ah,
it last year? And
okay.
when I got it, I was like, oh, this ain't too bad. But then of course we got the new ones, and I'm like, those suck. So yeah,
And the
she
Pokemon. I
fell.
forgot about
Yeah,
the Pokemon.
can't forget the Charizard. So that shelf right there, it's the hodgepodge of mainly like like cartoon type stuff and stuff that I know I liked, my wife liked, and my kids liked, and I like the Bowser. Um,
Yeah,
that's the recent movie Bowser. That's an awesome figure. I had to grab him, and the only place that he really fits is on that shelf. So
yeah,
put him up there. And you pointed out the Galactus head. I mean, I spent hundreds of dollars on that thing, and I got an extra head. I got to put it somewhere. So
you know what? It works. It works in the cornucopia aisle. So let's call it that.
yeah, yeah.
Now, this one was the one that I was curious about because it looks like they're on pegboard. Now, I'm assuming that's several deep each.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So is it just like the ones that are thematic, or does there have to be a character tied to it, or is it just whatever looks cool?
Right
Whenever
now,
you
and
guys go get them.
when I recent like the picture, most of these pictures I sent were just as of right now, meaning like I just needed to hang something up and I threw it on the pegboard. Originally, when the boys and I collected the Hot Wheels character cars, it was by line, Star Wars, Marvel, DC. So with me getting back into collecting action figures, the actual bottom portion is TVC, carded figures, and things like that. So I don't have as much room on the pegboard, but I just kept up a lot of the character cars that I really enjoyed and like, and or hard to find. Meaning, some of those when I was hunting them, they were a pain, and not all of them, but
Yeah, no,
ones at the
Hot
top.
Wheels collectors are a different breed.
Yeah,
I'm telling
yeah.
you right now.
Oh,
Them
I know.
some Oh, ooh, yeah, no. Mm,
Yeah. I
mm-mm.
mean, if you look right there at the bottom, the Barbie one, I saw the fresh cases of them. I counted like 60 of them on the pegs. And, my granddaughter loves Barbie, my wife loves Barbie. So I was like, I grabbed that one, just, a couple bucks for a car. We'll put it on the pegboard. And there was a guy right after us. He was just raking it into the cart. I was just looking at him. It's like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get mad. But then what I heard is he was trying to check out and they're like, no, like, dude, you cannot get all of these. And he's like, well,
Yeah,
why not? He's like, well, why not? And people at Target said, because we said so. So
exactly.
they let him get a lot, but they didn't. I mean, you gotta leave something on the pegs.
Yeah,
Um,
well, and they knew what he was there for, so
yeah, yeah. He
I
wanted one for him and 50 of his kids. Yeah.
exactly. It's not 19 kids and counting. I'm just telling you.
Right.
Now, this is the most important part of your collection is
Yeah.
the people that you meet and the community that you have.
Yep. Absolutely. Um,
Although Man
th-
Cave's all in the back hiding away, I was surprised at that.
no, he's that
For
these
those that
guys.
don't know, this is Jersey Geek, Mr. Fantastic, and Man Cave Collectibles.
Yep.
So, in case you don't know who they are, by all means, find their YouTube channels and subscribe.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Absolutely. This was the good deal going on in the parking lot in Gastonia, North Carolina, where Jersey Geek goes, "Yo, what's in the trunk?" And
Yeah.
so it
So
becomes the name.
this is the start of the
Yeah,
trunk escapades.
yeah. At this point, I didn't have the channel. I just had my Instagram, and Jersey and Oleg, Mr. Fantastic, they both thought I had a channel. I was like, no, man. I kept talking, group chats, and Ron, Mr. No, Ron, Century TMC, and
Yeah.
also Zach Jack Dan. Not in this picture because they weren't with us on this trip, but Zach Jack Dan and Century the Mad Collector. And then Century, he's just straightforward. He's like, man, just do it. he's like,
Yeah.
dude, just shut up and do it. And yeah, a couple
Yeah.
years later, here I am.
I've been talking to him for a while, so hopefully we will get him on next month.
Yeah,
Mostly the reason why he hasn't come on is because his collection is currently all in boxes because
yeah,
he's been redoing that basement forever. I feel bad
yeah.
for him. It's taking him a lot longer than it should have.
Yeah, but
So yeah,
the great thing about Ron, I mean, again, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn. And from what I know of him and over the past couple years, he has patience.
yeah,
He has more patience than anybody I've ever met in our community. Just like he just no. And if he doesn't like something, he'll tell you and he's like, no, I'm not gonna collect that or I don't want that. And I really appreciate that in the collecting world. And he's more into vintage and retro now that, if we all watch his channel, you could just see it. He still goes on these toy hunts, but he's
yeah.
more into
Well,
that to that vintage.
with the exception of Mythic Legions. So I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
that's
Yeah. But again,
Mythic Legions is his baby. I mean, he's putting it at the centerpiece of his room. So
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's one of
That would
those
be the
things.
one.
After here's how it kind of started for me when I got back into toys. I found some people like Brian, Big Dub.
Oh, yeah.
From him is where I found all of you guys. So you guys were kind of like that first group of people that I found in the toy communities. And then from you guys, I found people like Toy Connections. And then, as it's evolved, I've kind of migrated from different areas and, found the people that I want to talk to and the people that I don't want to talk to, the shows that I want to watch and the channels that I want to see through the content. And,
Right.
you know, you do that kind of migration, but it's interesting to see where all that kind of started. Because when I started, there wasn't, in January of 2022, I wasn't, I did started looking up toy channels on YouTube, and there it started. And that's that's when I started going into chats and talking to people, and then from there it was talking, and then went beyond talking, and then went to Discords and stuff, and then now we're here where it's a weird channel, and I talk to people, and I sound really awkward, and
No,
lots
no,
of fun
no.
stuff.
But
So,
yeah.
in your collecting, have you always collected, or did you stop and come back? And you said you kind of gave us that hint that Mandalorian kind of brought you back, but was there any period prior to that, like earlier? See, I had this period where it was like Power of the Force, the Power of the Force 2 in the 90s. That brought me back to collecting for a couple of years.
Right. I
But
I I mentioned this a lot, and I'm dead serious. I have yet to see a whole episode, and I'm not doing it on purpose. A whole episode of X-Men animated,
yeah.
Spider-Man, Batman, and none of that. And of course, I never seen episode 1 in the theaters. I didn't watch episode 1 until like 2007. And a lot of that is because once I joined the military and I had a kid, I was watching Barney, Blues Blues Clues, and
Yeah.
helping
I
him
don't know.
and helping him collect Pokemon and Hot Wheels. So, to answer your question, I went on about a 3-decade pause of collecting. So, the stuff that I had in the room before I got back into, Hot Wheel character cars or just Hot Wheels in general, it was from the kids and the boys. And as my son, when he joined the military and he left, and then of course I got my youngest, and then me and the wife are like, what are we doing? And then all of a sudden, I am a COVID YouTuber, and I don't ever hide it. It's fact. Where like how you start searching things on YouTube, even though you start, I started to collect a little bit, but then you're like, holy crap, look, what is this? A toy hunter? No, I do that. And
Yeah.
then it just started. So this collection right here, I would say 99% of it is really recent, and 3 decades of a pause of what I've always wanted to do. I just couldn't because of time, family, career, things like that. So I'm glad that I'm doing it now. I'm not going to live in regret saying, "Oh, I should have," because
Yeah.
that's you can't go back in time. So I'm happy. I'm happy I'm doing it now, and I'm understanding it a lot more. Meaning, I'm trying not to get everything hot and new. Hey, look, I got hot new. Like how the influences. Mr. Fantastic is
Yeah.
he
Trying to avoid FOMO.
he's like, JB, go get that Ultimate Warrior. Go get. I was like, dude, shut up, man.
I don't need it.
Because
I
because
don't
we
need it.
we do it to him, and the crazy thing about Oleg is he actually does it. Like, hey, you need that hot toy, and he goes gets the hot toy.
It's interesting that we have those. We call those our enablers
Oh yeah.
because they enable us. Um, I will have to say that the group of people, which is Oz and Brick and Highly Articulated, we know those are the guys who kind of
Oh.
enabled me into Mythics. Cosmic Legions was one of those ones that I was interested in. I originally only bought the 2 in Wave 2. This one and another one that I've got coming in directly from Horseman. It was just a curiosity thing because they
Hmm.
look cool. This was before I bought any Mythics. This was before I bought any other Cosmics, anything else from the Horseman. So that, and then I met these folks, and then they wasn't like it had a strong army to get there, but it was. You
Yeah.
start seeing them up close, and you feel them. It's that first time that you're playing with it, you get to see what it is for real, and
Yeah.
you see where the money is actually. It's a value for what you're getting.
Yeah.
And that's the trick. I think nowadays we kind of have to worry about the value of what we're getting. See,
I
Lawrence
just
is trying to say he's trying to help me not buy more stuff. You know what? I got it, but you know what? I enabled you, Lawrence, because I do believe I was the first person to super chat so that you could go buy the Chun Li. I'm just saying.
ooh.
I contribute to your
Yeah,
delinquency as well.
yeah. I get
So,
yeah.
are
Uh,
there any collection rules? Are there any rules that you said these are the rules? This is not. This is I'm not going to go here. Like me, my biggest rule is it cannot cost any single figure, any single item cannot cost more than my first car.
I remember you saying that. The, the only rule, I mean, it just has to make sense. It has to make sense for my train of thought, my collection. Of course, lately space. Like I didn't back the Eternia as much as I wanted to. I did a one of my videos. And I said it on the video. I can't. I I don't have room for it.
Yeah,
But outside of a lot of room like an Eternia, there's the only rule is it has to fit my idea of like how you started, is it playable? Is it toyetic? Is it fun?
yeah,
Obviously, if you could save money on it, yeah, you're gonna try to save money so you can collect more. I got the His tank on the way. I backed the Dragonfly, and I'm like, crap, where am I gonna do that? And of course, our guy across overseas, Ace, with Ramen Toys, I got the Ramen Racer on the way. And whenever that's out, and of course he's putting out more stuff like the A
yeah.
Team van. I'm like, I gotta get that A Team van, or excuse me, B Team van, or whatever they want
Yeah,
to call
well,
it. But
it's the
what
TMB, the top, middle,
t-
and bottom.
right, the top, middle, and
I
bottom,
I
and
I love the jab. It's interesting and it's fun, but the reality is he's trying to fill the gaps for these
and
for collectors. And you know what, if the market is there, why not?
well, I remember I was invited to one of Jay's lives, and he was on, and during that live, we were just giving him a whole list. It was like, all right, Ace, you got to do this. Ace, you got to do this. Ace, you got to do this. And it's because you're right. There's a market out there. Not
Hmm.
saying that we're the voice of everybody, but we are a voice, one voice, and we have opinions that are shared, throughout our toy community. And he's going to be doing well, my opinion. And
Hmm.
yeah, like how Thanos just put there, he's right.
Yeah, that
The Musk is, geez, that
even me knowing, even though I can build my own,
yeah.
it's very tempting because
Oh,
I want my tunnel rat going through a sewer or something. I want him, that but if it was more sewery,
yeah.
then I would probably be more tempted.
I'm a big believer in I will pay for something good or something that I want. It's not convenience, and it's if if I want a pumpkin spice latte, I'm gonna go to Starbucks to get a pumpkin spice. I'm not gonna try to make one.
Yeah.
If I want something like the musk, I'll hit up
Hmm.
Ramen Toys and say, "Hey, I think I'll pay this money for a musk." So,
But it's a
yeah,
reasonable price for that
it
dino. I
is.
mean,
It is.
in all honesty, especially considering it's injected mold, you're not gonna have the issues that you're gonna have with foam. You're not gonna have the issues that you're gonna have with cardboard. You
Yep.
know, it it's an injected plastic, so it's gonna be great. So, and I have their Silverhawks. I have
Oh, do you?
Quicksilver and Monstar from Super 7, and they're fantastic. I
That's awesome.
People had issues with them. I don't. I like the figures. I like
Yeah.
the way they are. I like how they're set up. Now, my there's a minor gripe about the stand for Quicksilver that doesn't really you can't really fit it around his waist when his wings are on.
What are you gonna do?
Realistically, that stand was with another figure. You weren't even supposed to get the stand.
Yeah.
Um, so are there any things that you don't do with your toys right now that you would like to do?
That's a great question, man. Well, one, I would like to play with them more, like how we talked about, but
Uh,
that's whenever the work schedule allows me. There, I want to invest in a real good camera, and I want to continue to try to practice, amateur toy photography. Every time I say the word toy photography with my stuff, I want to use the word amateur because there are so many great artists, there's so many great artists out there. It's like I
Hmm.
can't even. I want to see and try to do something like that. So some more toy photography, a little bit more dio work, and we are the wife and I are talking about the room downstairs. That was my after I retired from the military, the I love me room, the
Hmm.
office and all the stuff. And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I want to put toys down there. So we're gonna make that bottom, the downstairs office into the higher end, collectibles like the
Yeah.
hot toys and things, some nice artwork. So that's probably a year or two down the road.
So you
And
want
but
you want a fancy toy room, the fancy toy room, the pinky toy.
fancy. He
It's the fancy
spent
toy room.
he
Yeah, but
spent
I mean, there's
50.
plenty of those 1/6 figures that, yeah, they look
Well,
great.
yeah. And it's
So
not so much just the 1/6, but like I mentioned, if I do get the first 12 as I start
yeah,
rebuilding that or
yeah.
start the actual process, that would go down there in a nice display. I just want and we talked about different quadrants of the room, GI
Hmm.
Joe, GI Joe, Motu, Star Wars, and then of course like a miscellaneous. So I even thought like how you mentioned, the Arctic and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
desert scenes. I've seen dios like in the middle of the room, like cut into fourths, just like a mountain coming up, and each
yeah,
section kind of morph into each other. But that's freaking that's insane.
yeah. That if I had the space, maybe.
Right. But
Um, there was this moment when I was putting up my most recent shelf, and my wife had fallen the day before, so she had injured her wrist and couldn't work, so she was at home. Now, if she had not been home, mind you, those two shelving units would have been put together, and I would have had a 64-inch display.
hey now.
But as fate would have it, no. So now I have two 32-inch displays. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't
Yeah.
need the 64 inches, but it would have looked really good with my disc tank. I'm
Oh,
just saying.
dude,
Now it's just going to be a little shorter. It'll be fine.
I,
It'll be fine.
I I'm just trying to think where I'm gonna put that thing. I
Yeah.
I had to bring Galactus down. He was up on another shelf earlier, this year, and I moved a few things, brought him down. I think a lot of it was the fear of him falling, but then I don't know. When my granddaughter's here and we're on the floor playing, it's
Uh,
more visible. If you have stuff on the ground, it's more visible because you're on the ground playing with it. But
yeah.
I kind of want his tank up so oh wow, look at that thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, and then you also got the light feature on it, so you want to be able to see that somewhere.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, no,
That's a good
it's
point. That's a
understandable. I mean, I've got it'll be on this. I gave 22 inches of height on this shelf.
yeah.
So it's 16 by 22 by 32.
Mhm.
So hopefully that should be enough room for what I want to do. If not, I can drop the shelf a little bit more. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I can still,
Uh,
because I have nothing on the shelf beneath it technically, except for what I like to call my hodgepodge of parts and accessories and the figures that don't go anywhere else.
right.
So they're in a box. So they're stuff that I was putting somewhere else. All right, I'm going back to my thing. Where was I? There it was. Nope, we got that one. So, favorite all-time line and why?
Uh, Even though I'm mad at the line right now, um, my first answer, and it will always be, even though there's lines out there now that I truly love, it's gonna always be Star Wars. But I'm mad at Star Wars. The Black Series figures coming out are they are what they are. They're, in my opinion, overpriced, and they just not doing it for me now, but I'm a Star Wars kid. I always tell people that, and I truly believe that. But the line that I love now, that's been crushing it, is, in my opinion, G.I. Joe and
Yeah,
G.I. Joe Classified series. So
yeah,
when I was toy hunting, I was hunting for some character cars at one of my Walmarts, and I look over and I see Snake Eyes, Gung Ho, and Scarlet, I think it was, from the first wave of the Classified. And I was like, what the heck are these?
yeah.
I collected O-Ring. I didn't know that was a thing because I was so focused on Hot Wheel character cars. I was like, you know what? I'm I'm just gonna get these because I had a feeling in me. It's like, ooh, this is fun, even though the gung ho sucked. I was like, I still kind of liked it.
It's
I was like,
the figure itself isn't awful, awful. It's the damn weapons. They're awful.
I was
And
like,
the
what is it?
backpack is terrible.
So I was like, you know what? I'm getting it. Screw it. I'm getting it. So I get it and I get it home and I was like, you know what? I don't need these. I was gonna return it. And I was like, you know what? Let me hold on. And so that was in box for the longest time.
Uh-huh.
And then I started again looking more into it, finding more things on YouTube of it. I was like, this is cool. Then it went through its little bit of a dip. The G.I. Joe movie figures,
Yeah.
and I was just like, what are they doing? And then of course we had the debacle with the Viper, Major Blood, and then people were in, they were out, they were in, they were out because of distribution. I was like, I have a feeling that they're going to be doing more with this. So I kept up with the line and I'm glad that I did because, when I get a Shipwreck, when I get a Zartan, when I get a, all these new characters coming out now, I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, this is why I stayed with the line because you can, with the accessories, you could keep it kind of modern, but like when you go to the Shipwreck or even the retro gung ho,
Mm-hmm.
um, Storm, like all these awesome Cobra figures coming out. It's like you could just do so much
Yeah.
with it. So GI Joe
Range
has been
vipers,
crushing it.
mole
Range,
rats.
oh my gosh.
The funny thing is I got that mole rat in, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to really like it.
How is it?
I love it. I did put more glow in the dark paint on the little energon. Um,
You had to, right? You're like,
well, I mean, it's not very bright. I
yeah,
mean, it's there, but it's not very bright. But I put a little neutral glow in the dark paint on it. Pops really well now.
that's awesome, man.
So,
Because
but yeah, the only thing I don't like about it is the hose for the mask. It doesn't stay in very well, so
yeah,
you probably will have to super glue that in if you want it to stay in, or just put on the other head. I mean, that's the best options because
yeah.
it
What
pops out.
what what do you think? What do you think for this year is the best release so far of the classified? Like the best figure,
Ooh, my
or the top toward the
favorite.
top? That's a loaded
Well, I mean,
question all
if
the
if
time.
I had to, the best figure is Serpentor
Okay.
to me. By far, the chariot in and of itself adds a nice little layer, but as far as just the basic figure, yeah. I mean, I wasn't always a huge Serpentor fan, but I do really like that figure.
Okay.
I do really like the Chuckles. I have a couple gripes, but they're minor gripes and stuff that at the end of the day isn't overly
Yeah.
uh, concerning. I guess would be the word I would use for that. Um, and I love the troop builders. I love the range vipers.
Yeah.
Range
The range.
vipers look sick. I do a
Yeah.
little black wash on the head.
Oh wow. Yeah. That
Yeah,
makes
pops
sense.
that brain out. Just I did a purple wash on one, and then I did black wash, and the black wash just looks so much better.
After I grabbed those two, because with troopers or troop builds, I'm trying to just do two. Because at first I was thinking four. I'm thinking like military. Oh, let's do a squad, four of them. Again, going back to the Kyle Peterson thing, that's way too much. Why do I need that much?
Yeah,
So two, but for those, I want another two because they look amazing. They really do
Well,
look
the thing
amazing.
is that there's one that comes with the HISS tank, fire
Yeah,
team.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So that's what I mean, I have 5.
See?
I
Thanks
can't say
thanks
no. But
Yeah,
I have
that's right.
stopped I have been buying 5 of troop builders,
Oh, so you're a
but
5 guy.
I was. I went back to 3. So for anything from, after this group of troop builders, which is, um, the Range Viper is pretty much the last one that I bought 5 of. I did get 5 eels, but I sold 1 to a collector who couldn't find them or get one,
Right. Right.
for cost. I didn't, I'm not
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm not here to screw people over. I don't do that crap. Um, but yeah, I'm going back to 3, just space wise.
That's awesome. Yeah, and,
So,
you know yeah.
what makes you want to buy a figure? What draws you to that figure? Why does it say this is the figure that I have to get? It's going home with me. What is it about it?
Well, when I first started, it was the completionist. I have to get it because it's in the series. I got 1, I got 2, I got 3, I got 4, and a lot of that comes from Hot Wheels, collecting for the character cars was, I got the first one, I got the second one. So, it used to be I have to because it's part of the
Yeah,
line. It's that wave or whatever. Nowadays, it's does it have a fit to my nostalgia as far as what I remember, and or does it make sense to have it in the, in the collection? Um, Having man cakes in my collection does not make sense. But
yeah,
going back to it, it really does because my little Dio Cantina, it is a mishmash, so I have to have that guy in there. And
yeah.
It was at Ollie's.
Well, I
Um,
mean, that's where that's been my bane. I started doing this new thing with clearance, because in general, I would go in and I would just buy shit to buy shit. I have 3 of those Ultimate Beastmans. Why?
hmm,
Why did I need 3?
that's a good figure though. That's a
It's a good
great
figure, but I didn't
figure.
need 3.
It's a great
So,
figure.
after that, I kind of started, you know, peeling back that curtain a little bit to be like, I'm gonna have to walk around with this figure for a few minutes and decide whether or not I really need it.
Yeah.
99% of the time now, I put it back.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been doing that a lot. I've been doing that mainly with Star Wars. The new Ahsoka wave. There's some figures that I want, knowing that I could play long game and they'll probably be there. So going back to how you were saying earlier, patience. I'm super patient with Black Series now. Not so much with GI Joe, just because I love it so much.
Well,
And
and I think with Joe
you
is
know,
sometimes some of the figures. Here's the thing on the Joe figures: that troop builders they're going to sell out for
yeah,
whatever reason.
for the
You
most
don't
part,
if
yeah,
you see it and you don't get it, you're probably going to be in trouble finding it later. With the exception of Python Patrol, because that stuff just sits because not a whole lot of people have that attachment to it.
but everything else, yeah, everything
Yeah.
else, yeah, yeah. I ran into about a month or a month and a half ago. I ran into the wave with the Cobra officer.
Uh-huh.
I was just like, I was looking at it, it's like, oh man, I was like about to get it. I was like, do I wait? I got my 2. I'm good. Because they look good, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, I could do more. And then that's when what's the name of the set? Is it the Valkyrie?
You Valkyries, yeah.
Yeah, the
Females. Yeah,
Valkyries. I was
Valkyries.
like, I knew that I was gonna try to get that, so I was like, I don't need a Cobra officer. And my thing is with the Valkyries, I should have bought another set, and I probably will. I
Yeah.
like those because it
Yeah.
it adds that that that's a diversity, but the
Yeah.
actual the different if you got 6.2 inch these guys, that's fine, but you got to add that that scene.
Yeah, it
You got to make it
gives
look
you
good.
some variety in the
Variety.
depth of
Yeah.
field.
Yes.
Um, yeah, no, it's I have 2 sets of those. I didn't go crazy on those. I think four figures is more than enough, and
Yeah.
you know, they're fantastic. So yeah, I'm glad I got those.
Yeah.
So, are there any toy lines from when, you know, retro toy lines, older toy lines that you'd like to see redone today?
Absolutely mask. 1000% mask. Just because I was getting into it and then it kind of, not kind of, it abruptly stopped.
Yeah,
And I think with, technology today, what they could do with it, there might not be a big audience for it. I mean, maybe, I know there's an audience for it,
yeah,
but
there's an audience
if
for it.
if it were to come back, absolutely. And would I like the original scale? I would love the original scale just because of room. But
Hmm.
man, if they were to make mask in the 1/12 scale, I was just like, ooh, that'd be pretty interesting. And it'd be a lot of room and be it'd be fun. It really would be fun. So that's the one that, when
It would
people ask
definitely
me
be
that,
wallet
yeah.
crushing, though, if you think about
Oh,
it.
oh my gosh, yeah,
The amount of
absolutely.
engineering that goes into those, yeah, that would be a wallet crusher. That would be
It,
like a has lab for everyone.
yeah, it's like the Transformer and GI Joe morph. It's
Yeah,
just like it's got that
exactly.
look, and but then it transforms or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, do you ever have those buyer's regrets or remorse when you're looking at your collection? Is there any point where you're just like, "Why did I buy this?"
Funko Pop? What? Oh, uh, no, I mean, I can't say that because I can't say any that I'm looking around. I really can't say anything because if if I had, all the money in the world and I had the space in the world, I would buy every toy out there because I just love either looking at it, holding it, or playing with it. So even if it's not my favorite line or my favorite Funko Pop, whatever it is, it's like I need it and I want it, and I'm gonna put it
Mhm.
somewhere. So there there really isn't.
So what about experiencing burnout? Do you ever get to the point where you're just like, "You know what? I think I'm gonna just be done for a while."
Done with collecting or done with
We're done
YouTube?
with a line. Do you get to those points where you're just like, I think we all kinda get to those points where like, "Why am I doing this?" And then you think about it for a while, you're like, "Maybe it's just take a moment and pause and come back to it."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, going back to the whole Funko Pop thing, that's one that's back and forth because it sits on shelves, it gets cluttered, it goes ends up at Ross and, Five and Below, but then here's that one, you're like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that." That's the one where it's like, "Ah, I don't want that." And I'm looking right now because I have a few, like, one of my last shelves with them. I'm like, I need to move them into another room, and I had that suggestion on my last room tour last year. Move them to another room, that way you just have, whatever else, and just one room
Mhm.
for Funko or just one wall for Funko. So, I think that's the one I wanna get rid of as far as from this room, and, I just no. It's a sore subject around the house, really, because the wife likes them, and we see something like, "Ooh, we gotta get it." I was like, "No, we don't." We both agree that we shouldn't. It's just too much.
Well, and I think that's an interesting thing because there's that extra dynamic with you and your wife being both collectors, is it creates
Yeah.
that where you have kind of that person that you can bounce that idea off of,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, "Nope, nope, not doing it."
Sh Yeah. She's the one who's saying no, but at the same time, she's the problem because, if I do see a Black Series that I say, "Ooh, I think I wanna get this just in case." I just don't wanna play, FOMO with it. And she's like, "Dang it, just get it." and she will like force me to get it. And I'm like, but, and so it's like that double-edged sword with her.
Is she
And
really
it's a good problem. It's a good
forcing
problem.
you to get it? Let's be honest with
It's a,
ourselves here.
she
It's
does.
it's it's not holding a gun to your head and forcing you to get it. She's encouraging you to get it because she knows you want it. She knows it will make you happy,
Yes,
and
she knows it.
inversely makes her happy because you're happy.
Yeah, and amen to that. And you go to my birthday haul where I'm pulling out X-Men 97 figures, and I'm like, I told her, let's play long game on these. It's like she's getting me some of these X-Men, like I was like, thank you. I was
Yeah.
like, you didn't have to. I was gonna play a little bit of a sale game with these, and she's like, nope, not playing it. We're getting it. And every time I go on a hunt, I'm like, look at that peg full of bishop right there. Just
Well, and
but it's
sometimes it's good to just have that moment where you
yeah.
get something that you unexpectedly
Oh yeah.
receive.
Yeah.
So it's always a good thing.
I don't want
So
to
you
sound
kind of
ungrateful.
answered what you would buy. Now, this is the magic question. We're getting toward the end, so we'll cover a couple more questions. Um, you kind of mentioned about, if space and money weren't an issue, what
Mhm.
would you collect? And you said everything.
Yeah.
But is there
Mhm.
anything in particular that would be like that you had to get it first?
It's a good question, man. Just keeping it basic because a lot of my friends, they say, well, how come you don't collect like mezco, for example? Keeping it at the basic level without going higher end mezco import and stuff like that. The other line that I thought was going to be big and or kind of boom was the Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I thought, and that's the one I actually told myself no to, even though that's a family favorite top 5 movie is the Indiana Jones, I guess you could say the franchise. All of them.
Mhm. Yeah.
And even now, I'm like thinking I should get that stuff. I should get that. But I've been good. I've laid off of it, and it's kind of sad that I'm pretty sure it's not going anywhere else after these
No,
last waves.
no.
Um, so the Indiana Jones, and then even if it weren't, let's say Indiana Jones coming back in the 6-inch scale or 112 scale, um, Transformers. You know, I saw some Transformers, about 2 weeks ago, and it's like, why don't I collect Transformers? Or why haven't I went into some of the G1, some of the vintage stuff? And I would like to. I really would at one point. Jetfire was my one that I want. That's my grail. If I had money right
Mhm.
now, um, I would get one in box and actually take it out of the box. You know what I'm saying? I want to
Yeah.
play with I want to play with the Jetfire. Um, so yeah, it's it's tough. It's tough
Yeah.
because go
When we have that, you know, that option of anything is available.
yeah
So we have the space, we have the money for it. That's when you kind of get to that. This is what I would really want
yeah
because we do. We when we have the limits taken off, we go to where our heart gravitates.
yeah
So, is
yeah.
there a time that you see yourself not collecting again? What would that look like for you?
The answer I would say no. Just because I'm in. I've had my the career that I started that stopped me collecting. I retired from that career in the military, and I got a great career now, but it gives me an opportunity to enjoy life too. So I don't see that part either. Then with my granddaughter, she doesn't live in the same state as us, but when we see her and we go on these hunts, it's like she's like a mini me or a mini. She's like the mini me of my son and then myself.
Hmm.
So even though we're not living in, within a drive distance of each other, I'm always going to want to go toy shopping with her, because going back to me as a kid with my father, I
Yeah.
was fortunate to have that, where Jason, let's go get another Star Wars, or Jason, let's go look at this new thing you talked about called He-Man, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And with my granddaughter, she the first time in this room, she's playing with some of the Mission Fleet Star Wars stuff, and
Oh,
she's
okay.
having a
Yeah.
she's having a blast with it. And I was like, let's do this. And then of course, a year later, we're doing a toy hunt at Target, and she's like, Papa, I want this, or I want Barbie, or I want this, and we have fun with it. And I don't
Yeah.
ever see myself not collecting. Now, when it comes, people always ask me about the YouTube thing. It's like, I'm having fun. So as of right now, I'm just going to keep having fun.
I
So,
think that's
and
the trick. The trick is if
it,
it stops being fun,
oh yeah,
then maybe it's time to step away. And I think we forget that a lot of times, because there's people that I know in that I meet that at some point it stopped being fun for them, for whatever it is, whatever they're doing.
right.
As I did therapy for several years, and they just kept doing things that were no longer fun for them, just to do them. And I'm like, if
Yeah.
you're doing it just to do it, you're not helping yourself. And it's just creating this cycle of misery in your head.
Yeah.
If you're not
It's not,
enjoying it, don't do it.
yeah. And
It's
it's not,
it's the old adage where the guy goes to the doctor and he asks the doctor, well, every time I do this, it hurts.
I'm
Doctor
going to
looks at
stop.
him and goes, stop doing that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Stop doing that.
it's not rocket science. We're not reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah.
So the final question I have is perhaps the most important, because as an adult and as a person in today's society, we kind of forget to find joy in every day. And, it's one of those things that I have had to practice very hard to be in the moment and finding joy every day. Because even if the day goes completely awful, horrible, no good, very bad, Alexander and the horrible day, I still want to find something that was positive in the day.
Hmm.
And I'm not talking toxic positivity, because that's just as bad. I'm not gonna
Right.
rainbow, sunshine, unicorn it out your ass. I got better things to do.
That's good.
But with this question, I want you to think about it. But what did you find joy in today?
What did I find joy in today? Um, there was a moment in work where someone made a decision, a career decision, a life-changing decision, and we were kind of all around when it happened, and it was like kind of a celebratory type of moment, and it brought me back to when you make these life-changing decisions, whether it's career move, relationship, um, let's say it's a let's say it's an argument with your kid or your spouse, and you guys overcome it and you guys reconcile. It was one of those moments where it really brought me joy. And it's hard to find those moments where you're kind of like out of body experience.
Mhm.
And and when it happened, I'm like, hopefully I'm not the only one in the room that's experiencing this right now. And if I am the only one, I can't worry about anybody else, because right now I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to let that person know. And we had a moment and we talked, and I said that was pretty awesome. And they looked at me and they're like, that was kind of awesome, wasn't it? And I was like, that was really awesome what just happened. So when someone else's success that either you had maybe influence or helped or been a part of, that's what brings me the most joy. Um, and I say this a lot, and especially when I was in the military, I used to tell my guys, You can't take care of someone else until you take care of yourself,
Yeah.
whether it's physical, mental, spiritual. And I said, always take care of yourself, because if you're worried about taking care of a sick mom, you still got to take care of yourself so you could take care of your sick mom. And today was a lot of taking care of that person's self. And it brought me joy to see that. And it made my day. And long week, brother. These past couple months have been really crazy and hectic. And I know you connected with me, and it's like, man, I need to get on with you, because I knew these live streams that I'm fortunate to be invited to, it helps reinvigorate that power that I know I have in me. So, it's questions and opportunities like this that make me happy and bring me joy. So,
Well, I mean,
abs-
it's nice to have that reinforcement that, what you're doing is, people are seeing it and they're
yeah,
talking about it. And,
yeah,
it's meaningful. It's there's an
value.
interesting dynamic with
Yeah.
this thing that we do. So speaking of this thing that we do, what do you got going on that people should know about?
Man, I'm putting in my 1 millionth mile. Oh no, I'm just driving around like an insane madman, hunting for plastic. That is gonna always be my thing, whether it's a couple days a week or on a weekend. Um, Still just doing the toy hunts, and slowly considering doing a live stream. Again, it's the time. I want to make sure I do it the right way, and at the same time, I don't interfere with a lot of my friends that I've been making, on
Yeah.
on the airwaves. If I want to, look, hey, I think I'm going to start a live stream at 1 a.m. Eastern. I can't, because that's when Mega J's on.
Actually, I don't. I mean, Mega J does that sometimes, but there's also the,
Oh, I know. When
there's
it's
the 4
during
p.m., there's the 7 p.m., there's the 2. Yeah.
when it's during the day, I love it. So, what's happening on channel? Just more toy hunts, more fun, more hauls. Nothing too different. And Instagram, still trying to keep up with Instagram, as far as I want to take more photos, like I mentioned. And in the future, hopefully start having some live streams, maybe just live unboxings, just something fun to interact, with the awesome community that we have.
And I think that's the biggest part of this that I appreciate more than anything is just the community of people that I've found, like yourself, and
Well, thank you.
there's other people that are keeping what should be fun fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So I mean,
plastic.
it's one
It's
of those
fun.
things. But I appreciate you being here. And if you're watching this on replay, by all means, follow him. You can also follow Jersey Geek, Mad Collector. You could follow Mr. Fantastic. And last but not least, Man Cave Collectibles.
Yeah.
You did your collectible reviews, I believe, is what he's
Yeah. Man
listed
cave.
as.
Yep.
So, if you want good, positive people that are positive and what they do, they're not rose-colored glasses, folks, but they are positive. Those are the people that you want to follow. So,
Yeah.
with that, I want you to remember, if you can be anything, be kind. Have a good weekend. We'll see you all tomorrow night, where I will be most likely with Oz in the group on his clubhouse at some point.
That's
And what
right.
time, I don't know. Hasn't been discussed. We'll find out. Bye.
Thanks, Nolan. Thanks, everybody.